Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching Good Morning Kenya, and this morning we were talking to the Egyptian ambassador to Kenya. Now we change focus and we'll be talking to Dr. Catherine Mutesia, who is the director at Nairobi Clinic and also a consulting psychiatrist at Mathare Hospital, and we'll be talking about a very interesting topic, that is parenthood. And on Sunday the 22nd day of July, it is World Parents Day. I know we have so many days, but I think this is one which is quite important, and Daktari will be sharing with us why, and also why it is important to actually take some time to reflect on parenthood, and also for those who are not parents also to appreciate their parents and the efforts that they have put in place to ensure that they are who they are right now. Karibu sana Daktari to our studios.
Thank you.
All right, now let's talk about parenthood, and even from the feature that we've just watched and the various aspects of parenthood that come into place, and also you tell us what you do at Nairobi Clinic.
Thank you. Yes, basically children are a gift from God, and parenting is a very fulfilling job. Unfortunately, in the past we've not been having a place where you can train a parent and get to know whether your parenting skills and strategies are adequate. So at Nairobi Parenting Clinic, we help train parents on basic skills on parenting, based on a program called Incredible Years, which has been developed at the University of Washington and has been scientifically tested and seen to be working. Yes.
All right. Now, and one would then ask, why should I be taught to be a parent? Isn't this something that, we've had very many people say that they're just instinct. Something just happens to you. Do you agree to that school of thought? Or is it something that, you need something more to enable you to be a good parent?
Yes, it's increasingly clear that we are having problems in our society. We are having children who are having disturbed emotions. We are having even children who are going to the extent of committing suicide. We are seeing a lot of violence in the society, and that is a wake-up call that we actually need to evaluate. Is it that there's something we are failing at the family level? Because we know the family is actually the cornerstone of the society. So the fact that all is not well in our society, it's a wake-up call that we need to reevaluate our parenting skills and strategies.
All right, and I don't know whether you'd agree with this, but even in the past, we have had, or traditionally, young women would be taken through some training, by either older women, their aunties, on how to be good parents. And I know that is a challenge that we don't have that time anymore.
Yeah, that is quite true. Before, there was mentoring from either the mother-in-law, the aunties, the older siblings, the older sisters, the older brothers. But as we become urbanized and as many people go to urban areas, those structures are getting destroyed. And so you have a lonely couple who, first-time parents, for example, they do not know what to do, and they are living quite far from their original families. And so there is a need for these particular couples to be trained on basic skills. Again, it's not necessarily that whatever you observed and whatever you went through as a child was not necessarily the right thing, because basically that is what we normally do. The way I was parented is likely the way I'm likely to parent my child. It's not always that it was always the best way of parenting.
All right.
Yes.
And I'm so sure someone is watching and wondering, then what is good parenting? What is the measure? Is there a measure to say that this is a good parent, this is not a good parent, this is the way we should parent our children? How would you gauge that?
Okay, we measure the parenting skills strategies by the outcomes. What are you looking for when you're bringing up a child? It is important that this child turns out self-controlled and disciplined, but it's also important that this person develops self-esteem, so that when they are at teenagehood and adolescent, they don't just move with the peer pressure. They've developed enough self-esteem such that they can stand up and say, I'm not going to drink, I'm not going to do drugs, because they have had enough self-esteem. In the African society, probably we didn't put a lot of emphasis on developing self-esteem. A lot of emphasis was put on disciplining and making sure the child was self-controlled. And again, we also know that in the African society, again, the child was there to be seen and not to be heard, and to listen and obey all what the parents said. But again, we are dealing with a different generation all through, even in the West. As we grow up, as generation come up, due to technology and due to the changes we have, we are dealing with a different generation. And so we cannot just sit back and continue doing what has always been perpetrated throughout the generations. We need to keep improving, just like the way we are improving in, for example, leadership. Because even a parent is a leader in the home. We know that now people are putting more emphasis on leadership. We are moving from coercive leadership skills towards more democratic negotiating. That is not to mean that a home is a democracy, because if you run a home like a democracy and you ask your children, for example, what time would you like us to sleep, what time should we sleep, they'll probably say after midnight. But again, as a parent, you are an authority. So a home is not going to be a democracy. You must put rules and say sleeping time is at 9 because you need to have enough sleep. You need to wake up early to go to school. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Now, and I'm sure with your interaction with different parents and even with just Kenyans and the people that you've interacted with, what are some of the challenges that they bring forth in terms of parenting, and even with the changing times, as you're saying, the challenges, I'm sure, are even different from what they were in a couple of years back?
Okay, at the moment we are dealing with parents who are working outside the home. Although it is always said that the African woman was never a housewife, because she would go to fetch water, she would go to collect firewood, she would go to the farm.
Yeah.
But again, we are seeing women moving, and fathers also moving to the career scene and being very active in their career life. And again, the structures which we had in the past, where you could leave your child with a neighbor or with an auntie as you went to fetch water, they are no longer there. So that is a major challenge. We are having children who are left to TVs, to just be mentored and brought up by the TVs or by the screens, computers, computer games, and all that. And so you have, as a parent, to consciously remember that you need to spend time with your children. Remember, time can be spelled, love is spelled time, T-I-M, that if you love somebody, you must create time for them. You must interact with that child. You have to find time to talk to them, get involved with them, teach them how to solve problems, and they also learn from you through modeling. They observe what you're doing.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. I'm sure there's also the whole challenge also of we're seeing divorce, children going through, parents going through separation. We're having single parenthood, and I'm sure you've encountered all this. I don't know what your take would be on these challenges.
That's a big challenge in Kenya, because unlike the West, where if parents divorced, the children should not be involved in should not be involved in the wrangles between the parents. Now in Kenya, we are having parents who are divorcing, and it's like they put the children in the whole struggle, and the children get to know that they are not consciously, one parent is not good, the other parent will keep criticizing the other parent. Either one parent will neglect the children and say, I don't have anything to do with your other parent, and I'm not going to have anything to do with you, which is quite not right, because if you're a father, you'll always be a father, whether you separated with the mother or not. If you're a mother, we will always be a mother, whether you separate with the father of the children or not. So that is a big challenge, because we have to sit with parents and tell them that these are your children. Even though you are divorced, they continue being your children. You are the father, you are the mother. You have to create time, mentor them, you have to provide for them. So that's a big challenge. And then again, with our structures broken down, you find that if the children get to live with one parent, then they miss out on the experience of living with the other parent.
With both parents.
Yes.
All right. Now, and just looking at our society, and as you said, the moral fabric going down and breaking in terms of some of the things that are happening to our children right now, so that it's the bigger society taking care of the children. We're seeing cases of rape, very young children. We're seeing children on the streets. Apart from just having that, you as the parent of that child, but even us as a society and the things we're doing to children, your take and your comment on that.
Yeah, exactly. The community has broken down the social structures, because before, in the villages, if you found a child of your neighbor or your brother doing something wrong, you'd actually correct them. If you found your child lost, I mean a child of your neighbor or of your sister or your cousin lost in the streets or have no food to feed on, you'd provide for them. But that doesn't happen anymore. You find that if you left your child in your house alone, probably if you left with a maid who leaves before you come, your neighbor will not even bother when they hear your child crying. And so we need to wake up and see, as the society changes, what can we do to keep in touch with the changes